Y'all, it's October, and October deserves a theme. So the theme for October, how do you unscary your story? Okay, so check it. That's you. That's you asking for something. And that's you receiving your manifested desire. You're smiling. You're not smiling. This right here is the things you need to do to get it. And this right here, that acts like a brick wall, that's the scary in your story that stops you. So this month, we're going to unscary your story. So here's one tip on how to unscary your story. You better learn to launch without all the layers or steps figured. Because what you learn in step 6, you didn't even know you didn't know in step 1. So to unscary your launch story, take general steps at the start and then course correct in the climb. And how do you do that? First, you process uncertainty as a necessary piece of the puzzle. Think about these 3 affirmations. I understand the necessity of uncertainty. I embrace the unfolding of my journey. I know how to navigate in a way that continues me forward. Number 2, make pausing part of the process. Pause is just simply when you allow yourself to feel what you're feeling without judgment. Use the pause to invite quality questions, because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. And then continue to affirm, I know how to navigate in a way that continues me forward. And number 3, you got to remember the old story might tell you that you need something in order to do something. Meet that story with your new affirmations. When you do that, you're retelling the story. And remember, the story of your life, the story that you tell dictates your life. You are the author. This is part 1 of how to unscary your story. The scared you deserves a new story. It's October, and October deserves a theme. Theme for October is how to unscary your story so that you can have your manifested desires. One of the best ways to unscary your story is to make it make sense. Gottlieb said that stories are the way we make sense of our lives. And sense just means a sane, realistic attitude to situations and problems. So that old story that's been keeping you stuck helps you make sense of your life. But does it make sense to repeatedly tell a story that keeps you stuck? Make it make sense. That's why you need a make it make sense story. Because there's you living your manifested desire, and the way you got there is a make it make sense story. So let's craft a men's story. Okay, so here's your desire. Here's the law telling you how to receive your desire, how to manifest it. So then here's you learning the law, leaning into the law, and living the law. Your 3L'ing, your M's story. And what's the law? The law is thoughts of things. The law is what you think, speak, repeat, you eat. See, the old story had automatic behavior. You're replacing them with conscious choices, and that's how you course correct without judgment. So you're at a restaurant, right? The waiter brings you chicken, and you say, this is chicken. I didn't order chicken. I used to order chicken. I ordered abundance. The waiter says, oh, I'm sorry. I'll bring that right out to you. Now, I already know somebody's saying, what do you do while you're waiting? In the wait, you imagine how good it'll taste. Hey, it's October, and October deserves a theme. The theme is how to unscary your story. But why does that matter? Because here's sad you. Here's all your manifested desires. And here's happy you living those manifested desires. Here are the action steps to get your manifested desire. And here's the brick wall that holds them up. And what's that brick wall? It's the scary in your story. One of the scary parts of the story is when things don't work out or they don't seem that they are working. And that's why you have to dictate your down. Bashar said that we think life flows like this. You know, we have that season where things are going good and then it goes down. Season where it goes good, then it goes down. You know, the ebbs and flows with life. Bashar said we think it looks like this, but it actually looks like this. So when it's down, we're learning. When it's up, we've applied what we've learned. And even after we've applied what we learned, there's still a season of down. Once again, we apply what we've learned. We experience a season of down. We apply what we've learned. And if you step out and look, though we still have experiences that are down, the trend is upward, which means instead of looking at it like this, you can look at it like this. And looking at it like this means I'm better. I'm wiser. You see, even if it's the same thing, it ain't the same you. Okay, so if nobody's going to talk about it, I will. Fault, fable, fix. So the thing for October is how to unscary your story. So part of the scary in the story is it's your fault. And initially that doesn't feel good when you hear it because it's easier to say it's their fault. But once you understand the 3F, that'll change. So throughout the video, I'm going to talk about fault, fable, fix. Fault is responsibility for a misfortune. Fable is a short story or a false belief. Fix is to fasten something securely or to decide or settle on, mend or repair. See, there's you, and there's you living your manifested desires. And there's these 3 F's. And you see, the first 2 we're good at, but it's that last one we need. So yes, somebody did something to us. It's their fault. But we are 100% responsible for how we've chosen to experience the misfortune. So you didn't deserve what happened. You've got to take ownership of how you're choosing to experience it. And sometimes that's just a matter of a perspective shift. When you do that, you start to recognize that there's a fable in the fact. So you've got to take 100% ownership of the story that you've been telling yourself regarding that situation. And the fable part, you know it's there because you say never, forever, always, all these absolutes. Now here's the best part. Take 100% power to decide the fix. The fix is nothing more than asking yourself better questions, perspective shifting. You see, when you take ownership of a thing, you have the power to change it. See, nobody talks about the losing component when you manifest your desire. It's October and we're talking about how to unscary your story. So when you're wanting to manifest your desires, there's one question, and nobody's asking this question. When you manifest your desires, what do you lose? You see, part of the scary in your story is there's something in you that says, I'm going to lose something when I gain my manifested desires. So rather than let that loss stay in your head, you're going to shine a light on it and you're going to list your losses. Here's an example. Let's say the G-Wagon is your goal. So you're going to be riding along in that G-Wagon and you're going to get the wow. You're going to get the I see you now. Might even get a few, okay, big money. And all of that wonderful attention leaves you grinning from ear to ear. So if this was the whole story, and you believe that thoughts are things, and you also believe that what you focus on you experience, then what in the world stops you from daily affirmations and visualizations and scripting? You haven't listed your losses. So those losses stay in your head as this giant sequoia instead of being one leaf on one bush and one forest of bushes, tiny. So you want the G-Wagon. Understand the G-Wagon. It might also bring guesses on how you got it. People saying, oh, you've changed. It might also bring ghosts from your past. People see you riding and rolling. They want some of that. So then it might be in great attention, welcomed and unwelcomed. You see, these are these losses that play in your head when you're thinking about your manifested desires. And until you shine a spotlight on them and list your losses, you'll remain scared in your story because you have a vague definition of failure and a broad use of the term. This is October and we're working on unscaring your story so you can manifest your desire. So one reason your story is so scary because you fear failure because you have a vague definition of failure and you use it too much. So what do you call failure? Not getting it done? But do you ask yourself this quality question? Do you still want what done would give you? And then do you follow it with another quality question? What 3 things can you do today to achieve done? See, this question opens up the I would buts, as in I would, but I'm too old, too young, it's too late, but what if I fail? There you go with failure again. And once again, failure is defined as I didn't get it done, which means you can ask yourself these questions. Oh, look, there's I would, but again. Here's 3 ways to cut that cycle. You feel like you failed because there's no time frame. And so you have this arbitrary time frame that indicates success. You know, oh, I thought by 30 I'd have this, or by 40, or by 50. And then you don't adjust the time frame when things come up and you need to make the adjustments. You just stick to the failure because I didn't get it done. And then you don't intentionally course correct your activities based on getting it done instead of avoiding failure. Get out of the failure loop. I don't know where to start. Seems to be the most common reason for stuckness. And in the absence of not knowing, the unknown gets filled with scary stories. These scary stories. So how do you unscary your story so that you can manifest your desire? You easily build yourself a process. A process is a series of action steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. See, here's you. Here's you at that particular end as in your manifested desire. And here's your process. And yes, the process may have several steps. In the absence of a process, you get this. This is all that mind chatter that comes when you don't take the time to build a process. You know, what if I fail? What if I lose my money? What if people hate me and my relationship ends? What if I get sick? What if I never recover? Taking the time to write out a process offsets this. So the path from here to here is your process. So now you're probably asking, how do you build a process? You can build a simple process in 5 steps. Number 1, set your desired end result. Number 2, ask yourself quality questions. Things like, what do I need? What do I already have? What can I do? What am I committed to do? Number 3, you want to jot all this down. Makes a difference when it's written. 4, you just simply prioritize your action step. 5, take action. Oh, regarding that desired end result, you want to visualize it, affirm it, decide it, align your system, and recognize when you're in alignment and out of alignment. You want to Vadar it. So you got a desired end result, need a process? Talk to a coach. You're lost because you're letting the detour determine your decision rather than your direction. The theme for October is to unscary your story so that you can manifest your desires now. One way to unscary your story is understand your 3D. Okay, so here's you, and here's you living your manifested desires. And here's you walking the path, but then here's a detour. And see, without that 3D understanding, instead of letting the detour direct, we let the detour decide. And so when we let the detour decide, we just end up wherever it drops us off. And then we justify it by saying stuff like, it must have not been my time. I'm just not ready for it yet, I guess. I guess the universe had other plans for me. I'm not good enough, not worthy. No, you just didn't understand the 3D. You see, a detour is a roundabout route taken to avoid something. See, when this detour came up, it may have stopped you from facing a wolf that may have devoured you. And you just let it direct you to a shortest route while still avoiding the wolf. You don't let it change your decision, and the decision is to come to a resolution in your mind. You don't let a detour decide that you can't have this. You see, you're letting the detours determine your decision instead of your direction. And that's why you're scared. Your story seems so scary. This is why you say, oh, see, that always happens to me. It happens because you let the detour decide. Don't do that no more. Your secret tool to getting unstuck. This is October, and we're working on unscaring your story so that you can manifest your desire. One way to unscare your story is to RSVP stuck. That means you got to revoke stuck's verbal permission, because that permission leads to power. That power leads to prediction, which leads to probability, which leads to problems. All because you verbally affirm, I'm stuck, over and over and over. Revoke it. And because you've said it so many times, you've increased the probability of problems that keep you stuck. So the next time you feel stuck, I want you to go through these words. Okay, I'm feeling stuck, but I know stuck is just my inner highest self seeking a truthful and thorough understanding of where I am and a clarity-rich desire to focus my energy on, and the knowledge and the acknowledge of knowing my next step to get myself to my desired end result. You see, the quality of your life is also determined by the quality of your repeated affirmations and declarations, because repetition breeds belief, and when you believe a thing, you experience it regardless of actual circumstances. Your story isn't so scary when you step the step you're on. It's October, and we're focusing on how to unscary your story so that you can manifest your desires. Okay, see, this is you, and this is your manifested desires. And so here you are. You already feel the feeling. You believe and know that this is available and possible for you and likely for you and probable for you. And you are aligning your thoughts, words, feelings, actions, choices, and decisions with you living your manifested desires. And so here you are, and you have your sights set on here. And so you're moving right along, and then you get right here, and this circumstance happens. It's something that happens that doesn't seem to align with you achieving your manifested desire. But guess what? Because you've aligned, that circumstance hits something. What does it hit? It hits what you believe and know. How you've aligned your thoughts, words, feelings, actions, choices, and decisions with you achieving your manifested desire. And then you realize back on this step, you learned something that got you to the next step. And so here you are, moving forward, and then you're looking far ahead and you see another circumstance. You notice that this is so much higher than the other one. But because you know how to align yourself, you step the step your own. And you trust in your faithfulness in stepping the step, help will present itself. You really want to unscare your story so you can manifest your desire? Learn to step the step your own. So Bashar said it doesn't matter what happens to you. It only matters what you do with it. It's October, and we're learning how to unscare your story so that you can manifest your desires. And a story is just an account of past events or imagined events. See, when a circumstance happens, it hits the story. But if it doesn't matter what happened, but it matters what you do with what happened, as long as you know that, you are always in the seat of power, not the circumstance. So the most profound way to unscare your story, the story that you tell yourself, is that no matter what happens, I get to decide what I'm going to do with what happens. And what you end up doing with it shows your growth or your opportunity for growth. You see, you are always that powerful. So if you want to start that business, but you're afraid, you wanted to enjoy love, but you were afraid, worried about your health, or anything that life throws at you, because you know that circumstances don't hold the power. What you do with it does. Taking this as a truth should reduce your fear, reduce your resistance, and increase your activity toward your manifested desires. I was going to tell you this, but your until game is weak. It's October and we're working through Unscary your story so you can manifest your desires. One reason why your story is so scary, because your Yugi-wa. Yeah, I said it, your Yugi-wa. A block. So here's you. Here's the block. Here's your manifested desire. A block is something that makes the movement or the flow difficult or impossible. You see, anything that you want can be reduced down to this formula. Ask for it. Get the answers. Get the help. And then do what you're supposed to do, what the help told you to do, the actionable steps, the 1, 2, 3 steps, the affirmations, the techniques, the processes. How long do you do it? Until. That's where your Yugi-wa comes in. Your until game is weak sauce. You see, you start doing it and you remove a block, right? But it's not enough to get you over here. So you do some more and another block releases. And from there, you can see it. You start to feel it more. And then something happens that looks on the surface like a bigger block, a bigger obstacle. Your Yugi-wa is so weak, you stop doing. Not even realizing if you kept doing, the weight of that block would probably cause all these others to fall, thus allowing you an unblocked passage to your manifested desires. Your Yugi-wa is weak sauce. Let's change that. In about 4 seconds, I'm going to ask you one of the most important questions of your life. What is the evolved, high-thinking capacity, developed mind, adult way of processing CTs? CTs are childish thoughts. It's October and we're learning how to unscary your story so you can manifest your desires. One huge way to unscary your story is with a pact. Now, pact is a formal agreement, and it's a formal agreement to put away childish thoughts and things. You see, there's a really powerful book, and it describes this process. It says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, when I became a woman, an adult, I put away childish things. See, it's a fact that a child is not evolved enough to understand why adults do what they do. It's a fact that as children, we naturally seek approval and love. And it's a fact as a child, it was only the capacity of our limited, underdeveloped mind to make things mean something about us. You see, most of us as adults, we've yelled at a kid, yelled at our own kid, maybe because we were having a bad day and we couldn't yell at work. We're not perfect, and nor are our parents. And see, the 4 agreements teaches us that nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality. But when you make a pact to put away childish things and thoughts, you stop projecting the reality of the adults that were over you when you were a child. And one way to do that is with this question: are you willing to believe and know that thinking I'm not enough is a childish thought, or I'm not worthy or not good enough, or I don't deserve my desires? So that comes to the question that I asked you 4 seconds into this video. What is the evolved, high thinking capacity, developed mind adult, which is you? How do you process childish thoughts? It's because the disappointment gives birth. You made it mean something it didn't have to. This October, we're learning to unscary your story. One of the reasons why your story is so scary, because you haven't recognized when you've made space. Space is when you let a setback predict all future circumstances, creating negative expectations. Okay, so here's you. Here's you moving along in the direction of you achieving your manifested desire. In that space, something happens, something negative. So naturally, you start to process it. You either process it space or quality life, which means you may let that setback predict all future circumstances, creating negative expectation, which then leads to fear, doubt, anxiety, worry. Whereas if you take a moment and study the quality of life, and you know that the quality of life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself, then you can process it as a debrief with forward quality questions. And you can allow those questions to create quality affirmations and declarations, and do so repeatedly. You see, it's not this thing that stops you, it's how you process it. And one indicator that you found yourself in outer space is when you find yourself using words like always, never, forever, every time, every day. When you hear this, you're in outer space. Process it differently.